You're live. What's going on, team?
Yo.
We're just saying, hey, we're just getting set up. We're a couple minutes late right now, but only because we're good people, and that's why people are late, because they're good.
Or I got beer for us.
Brewskis?
Yeah. We are late because I got beer.
That's just how it goes. That's okay though.
We're excited about it. We have some fun things to talk about today.
Oh, this stuff is so this is the sexy side of nutrition, buddy.
This is the fun stuff. Before we dive in, we're back.
We are. We took a week off.
It was nice.
I'd love to know who missed us.
Anybody? Who missed us? We got people joining in. Did you guys miss the show?
If you missed us, I will promise to wave to you if you tell us that you ended up missing us. But guys, comment below. Let us know how much you missed us. On a scale of 1 to 10, very subjective here, let us know how much you missed us.
I know Jacqueline missed us.
Thanks, Jacqueline.
Yep, we got another one. Jason missed us. Everybody's missing us. This is nice.
Well,
it's good to be loved.
We took a week off. It was my fault. I spent a little time away with
the family.
The family and some friends. We went out to the beach. I got a tan. I got sunburned, actually. Looked like a lobster. We cooked lobsters. My friend Sam cooked lobsters like a champ. They were delicious.
Gross.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So, but anyway, they were good though. I'm not a big lobster fan. I prefer crab. So that might also be in your non-enjoyment.
I'm gonna be honest with you. Here's the thing. It's not even because I eat plant-based. It's because I view crabs and lobsters as the insects of the sea.
They are. They just have less faces.
The
so
lobster
they're
is
easier
like
to
a
eat.
roach. It's gross. And crabs, it's disgusting.
Yeah, no. I get that. I do. But regardless, we ate them and they were delicious. So I'm just gonna keep this wave-a-thon going.
People.
Yeah. But yeah, I took some time at the beach. It was pretty nice. I really enjoyed just kind of being away, being in some of not the heat because it's hot in the city, but it was good otherwise. But I'm happy to be back. What did you do?
I did all fitness all the time. I was coaching in the studio.
Yeah.
So while you were having your fun, some of us had to work.
Joe was being Joe, is what he's saying.
I had to deliver fitness.
Yeah.
While you were at the beach enjoying and frolicking.
Yeah, we were frolicking. Yeah, we were frolicking.
Frolic.
It was a good time. So, Joe, we can kind of jump in a little bit here, but I'm kind of curious about this. We have a really interesting topic, and people may know what this topic is. I don't think we've said it so far yet.
Not so far, not in this. We sure haven't.
Okay, good. So let's not say it yet, because I'd love to leave this as like a little bit of an interest. And I also want to make sure whatever we're talking about, we possibly are going to be talking about some things that can be incredibly beneficial to your health and your performance, right?
Yeah, sure.
But we can also be talking about some things that are incredibly unsafe and almost deadly, if you want to talk about it like that. I'm taking some notes from the news. I think this is what they do.
That's a build-up.
Right? They're like, it's going to help you but then kill you. So I was excited about that. But what are we talking about? I'd love to hear about a story from you here. I feel like when you were growing up or even now, is there anything that you can bring into your daily nutrition habits that can benefit you in some kind of way? We're talking about supplements, right? Supplements, I'd love to know from you, kind of from the fitness side, where do supplements fit in? What have you done, just personally, to utilize them, or have you heard about them? Let me know.
So today I do not take supplements, but I guess that's not, protein I guess is a supplement. So that's the only one that I do.
Yeah, we consider supplement.
Right. So I do take protein, but aside from that, I don't believe in supplements.
Yeah.
Personally, however, I do think that there's a benefit when done the right way.
Yeah.
But I do not. When I was growing up, I do remember when I didn't have so much education on nutrition and things like that, my mom would have a bunch of vitamins and things laid out in her day. She would have like fish oils, right? Vitamin C. Yeah. She would take and line them up and take her supplements in the morning. I think she still does to this day. Yeah. My dad would do the same thing. It would always be like, well, I can't eat that many vegetables in a day, right? So I'm going to supplement with this pill.
Oh, sure.
Right, or something like that. So, or take biotin, you get, I guess it strengthens your hair, something like that.
You need strong hair. That's an important thing, yeah.
When I was in my early 20s, I remember taking things like hydroxycut.
Oh, interesting.
And I was taking there was maybe one other thing. It was something that I got from GNC, and my aunt is a nurse. So when I started taking this stuff from GNC, it was like this pack that they would sell to get you. It was like to get you shredded.
Ooh, that
was like the whole premise, right?
Yeah.
And I didn't know what I was doing at the time, so I was like, I just want to be cut.
Yeah.
So let me just take these supplements.
Sure.
There were like 3 of them. The only one I really remember is Hydroxycut. And as soon as my aunt found out that I was taking this stuff, she was like, you need to quit this immediately.
Okay.
Because she was like, Hydroxycut messes with your metabolism. She was like, it's so over caffeinated and things like that she saw even people that she worked with that would take supplements like this, that once they got off, they needed the supplement now to boost their metabolism. Like their metabolism would slow down as a result of being dependent on this supplement. Okay. So she warned me against that stuff immediately. She was like, be as natural as you can. And so the more research I did, the more natural I tried to be.
And okay, so you really started off kind of young, having these things around, seeing them. I would say, like, just from a quick kind of view from what you just mentioned, doesn't seem unsafe in terms of, like, say, vitamin C and some B vitamins and fish oils and stuff like that. That doesn't seem anything too crazy.
No.
But you ended up kind of jumping kind of in along with the fitness, the body composition thing, and it was the supplements that you really want to be trying there. That is, I think, where a lot of people end up having a big challenge, right? It's not so much about taking maybe like a multivitamin or something. It's where people start to think about, how can this supplement get me ripped? Just like you said.
Absolutely.
Who doesn't want that, right? Who doesn't want to be better, faster, stronger, all that kind of stuff, right? So it becomes a really big, it's just a scary thing. I remember my first introduction, it wasn't that young actually. I do remember just thinking right back right now, to my parents having some stuff around. My mom had some supplements around. I remember seeing those, like these big, like containers from like Costco, or it wasn't Costco then, I don't know what it was, some big container
Sam's
store.
Club.
Maybe, is that new, or I don't even know. But maybe, okay. But I remember that kind of thing. I think I saw some fish oil then, but really I remember it was the football team in high school. I remember this guy sitting behind me. Before football practice, he took a scoop of creatine. I didn't even know what creatine was. It was a white powder. I was like, I don't know. I was like a straight edge kid. I was like, is this guy doing cocaine? Like, I didn't know what was happening. But he just took it and he just like right in his mouth and took it down. I was like, what is that? I don't know. So like I saw it like we definitely, it's not necessary to do it that way, but like it wasn't the worst thing in the world. But still, like I was like, whoa, that was like my introduction, being like, wait, you take supplements? And he was like on the football team, and I was like, oh man, like, well, they're all kind of big, and I was a pretty skinny like soccer kid growing up, so I was like, I guess I need to take that if I want to get bigger. That was always my thing. I started off as a pretty skinny kid. My older brother was really muscular. He just was muscular. He was just a house, and I wanted to be that, and I couldn't be that.
Yeah.
But really, if I knew then what I know now,
totally different.
I wasn't eating enough. But
see, that's the thing. I think now you understand how to be methodical with it, right? And I think so. My approach, or my kind of feeling with supplements now is that I feel, because my background's in healthcare too, so I understood how things worked in the pharmaceutical industry, right? Where you have a completely regulated industry, which we'll get into, but that there is a good reason for supplements existing. Yeah. And this is what I wanted to hear your take on, of like how it can be done well, because clearly there is absolutely, I think, a need for certain supplements where it's like we're not getting a certain thing in our diet. I think it's very personal, right? So what is your kind of food rhythm today? Like, how do you eat? How are you training? Maybe there are some things that you're lacking. Like in the winter, right? When we're not getting as much sunlight, you can supplement with that, right? Yeah. You get more vitamin D. Yeah. I know that there are effects with that, and I think those things are fine. Where the negative side of this supplement game is what we were just talking about. When you're trying to get that quick fix again, of here's a goal of getting cut or getting lean, for sure, and you're relying not on your routine or relying on food, but you're saying, let me take a pre-workout or a hydroxycut, as we just referred to. This is going to lean me out. I just need to be on this cycle of pills. Yeah, definitely. That's when I have a problem with it.
Anyone else take Hydroxycut or any of those, say, metabolism boosters or anything like that? Let us know. I can't see that well. I can't see that far. So
is Hydroxycut still like a big thing?
Hydroxycut is actually banned. So I mean, it's a thing, but
dude.
yeah.
I didn't know that.
It's like I think the one thing that's maybe out there right now is if anyone remembers fen-phen. Fen-phen was something that had been banned, but just half of the drug is actually banned. The other side of it, I actually still work with people who use phentermine as an appetite suppressant. So it actually helps them kind of just not eat as much or not be kind of, their body's calling for it.
Okay.
But that's also prescribed by a doctor, which, you know, we can't always say is the safest thing either, but the idea is that it's not really going to be something that should mess things up. You're usually looking for any of those. I think I'm jumping ahead right now, so we'll come back to more of a structured talk in a second. Not that it needs to be so structured either. But the idea is that like most of these like fat burners or these diet pills, they end up attacking things usually like your liver, they attack your heart, they attack your lungs, right? So those are the things that we usually see kind of breaking down. They're also going to be extremely high in either caffeine, they could be high in something else that usually causes high blood pressure, that's just going to affect the heart. But that's the kind of stuff that we end up seeing. And really what it is that there could be safe doses of some of these things, but some of these fat burners, some of these other pills, they end up being at such high doses. And that's the scariest thing. So so that's just what it is. And so when those things aren't as regulated, it's an issue. And we're going to talk about the regulations.
Yeah, regulation is a huge topic, guys. Yeah. We'll get into that a little bit.
But I definitely love what you kind of talked about, like the quick fix. People always look for that kind of quick fix, right? That's why people end up taking it. They say, my body fat loss, my weight loss is not happening quick enough, right?
Yes.
I need to get down 10 pounds in 3 weeks, right? And that's usually what that kind of causes, and that usually kind of scares me at least, because that's not how it tends to work. But we want to make sure that we know, and I think that you were talking about this too, is that any supplement is only going to be as good as what I call someone's base diet is, right?
Okay.
So it's like when someone says, I want better energy, right? But they're thinking, let me just take a bunch of caffeine right now. It can kind of wake them up in a second, but the idea of like having that caffeine, having that as a supplement, if you're just not eating enough energy, well, that's going to be an issue, right? Or just enough sleep too. That ends up being a problem. So we want to make sure that everyone, like even taking certain things like BCAAs or taking other kind of protein supplements, like you need to make sure you have to rule out whether or not you're able to actually get in enough from regular food first.
Yeah.
That supplement is only going to be as powerful as what your food choices really are.
I
think a lot of people don't want to admit it, but that's kind of like an unpopular truth is what we call those.
I think it takes some work and some consciousness. It's just easier to believe that, I'm not getting this, I'm just going to take a pill and get it. Like it's easier, it sounds easier, but I'm with you. I think the supplements can be done right when it's used as a tool. Yeah. When it's used as a tool for something, but not as something that you're relying upon. So I had that problem with energy. That's the first thing that when you and I first met, that was our first consultation. Was like I told Ryan, I was like, I feel like I'm having low energy, and my workouts were kind of suffering, and I didn't understand why. And we actually attacked it from a sleep perspective, but also a food perspective. Where you're like, he was like, I don't think you're eating enough food. So I was over caffeinating as well to even stay up. And in my sales days, that was something that I would do.
Oh, sure.
I would have coffee nonstop throughout the day because you'd be tired. And so I'm like, this is what I need to do. When the real thing is like, learn how to maybe better manage your schedule or eat more food so you are energetic. Like if I don't eat enough food, I'm dragging, right? You get angry. I get irritable, right?
Yeah,
so
for sure.
That's not fun to be around. I don't like that feeling at all.
A lack of activity too, right? Have you ever been in a team in like the sales world where everyone gets down, they do maybe like some planks or push-ups, or just kind of move a little bit, and they kind of wake up a little bit?
Absolutely, man. I wake up after workouts.
Yeah. I always think it's good just for energy that way.
I bet a lot of people would relate to this. Like in my old days on the sales job, when we had conferences and stuff, this was the problem. Like most people, I feel like, fit into this category where you're working the 9 to 5, and we would always get together in these conferences. And we were to be together for like 4 days, 12-hour days. Yeah. And what they would feed you is stuff that would put you to sleep. Oh my gosh, yeah. Right? You wake up and it's like croissants and donuts. Yeah. And then you're having lunch and it's, you're having desserts right after your lunch. Sure. And you're not eating these healthy foods. So then those when you're constantly doing that, I feel like most people who aren't aware, conscious about how to have proper nutrition and have a good workout routine, they probably are more likely to rely on supplements because they think that it might wake me up or give me more energy, like we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
And that kind of goes in the corporate wellness side too. Not, we can focus on some like athletic performance kind of stuff in a second, but when we talk about corporate wellness, what you're talking about, I like to go into offices. I've been in Facebook, I've been in some like smaller offices around the city just to talk about what they end up providing to a lot of their employees. And you see these things and they're just really like blood sugar spiking, blood sugar inducing kind of snacks. Like you have the desserts, you have like the really cheap type of carbohydrates. There's someone that has to order that food and they're ordering it because they're on a budget, right? The easiest, cheapest thing to end up making and buying is going to be most time like a refined starch or something like that. So it's not that people are actually staying as aware or awake in the office, and that becomes such a challenge. So there's always a conversation around protein and fiber when they're sitting around kind of revamping maybe their snack wall. I was talking with someone at Nike the other day that works at Nike in the city, and they actually have a food truck placed inside their office. And in that food truck is just a bunch of like really good snacks. They actually do a really good job.
That's pretty cool.
I
love that.
Nike, yeah.
They should. They're a sports brand.
We would hope that they would be doing pretty good. But supplements, I think we end up getting some big questions. The questions are maybe from the fitness side too, Joe. Yeah. I'm gonna get questions about how do I improve performance a lot of the time, right?
Yeah. So attacking it from the performance side now?
Yeah.
Okay.
And again, I would want to look at something around making sure that if someone is looking at performance, wanting to be stronger, faster, any of that kind of stuff, that one, you have to make sure you're looking at the base diet, right? Make sure that someone isn't underfeeding themselves and they're getting enough protein and they're doing all that kind of stuff. But I like to break things down into numbers sometimes, Joe, because people remember it a little bit. But I like to call it my 3 C's of supplementation, especially for performance, okay? And these are things that people can kind of bring in right now. And they're really quick and they're really easy. There's not going to be a lot of questions around them either. Do you know what they might be?
The 3 C's?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, let's guess.
Carbs.
Okay, carbs is one. That's my last one.
Coffee.
The carbs, yep, caffeine.
Carrots.
And carrots. It's carrots, coffee, and corn. It's going to be creatine.
Okay.
Right? It's going to be caffeine, and it's also going to be carbs.
2 out of 3.
That's what we look for performance if someone's looking to do it. Again, you want to look at your base diet, make sure you're eating enough, make sure you're not underfeeding yourself. That's the kind of stuff you need for performance that's going to be important. But things that can be safely taken would be something like caffeine. Now, do you think I'm talking about like a pill or a powder?
No, I think you're talking about like literally coffee.
Yeah,
coffee.
Yeah.
Black coffee.
Or
a shot of espresso.
Yeah. Because that can be a supplement too. When it's more of a real food kind of thing, but caffeine can be incredibly beneficial. I think people out there have had coffee before, or they've had green tea, they've had caffeine, and they know what it does for them, right? Whether it makes them go to the bathroom, whether it's something that can kind of improve performance too. So usually what we want to make sure people are doing is knowing how much to take. So caffeine, about 250 milligrams, and 1 cup of coffee, how many milligrams do you think are in that?
I honestly don't know.
Okay, just let's keep it easy, about 100, right?
Okay.
So if someone says, I want to take caffeine and improve my performance on the turf or on the court or when running, whatever it's going to be, or even in the gym, you want to be taking about 250 milligrams. Everyone's different, but about 250 milligrams. So if 1 cup of coffee has about 100 milligrams, that's like 16 ounces of coffee.
That's awesome.
Right? 2 espresso shots.
That's perfect.
That can work. It's pretty simple.
It's actually what I do.
Yeah. How do you
without
feel?
even knowing it.
You feel good that way?
I feel great.
Yeah.
I've always done coffee for pre-workout.
Yeah. But that's
because I never understood why am I going to buy pre-workout coffee seems to keep me up.
That's what it is. I mean, people end up having pre-workouts, but like, do you need the pre-workout? Like, there could be other things in there that can like kind of get you hyped up,
dude.
But it's so unnecessary, and you don't know what's in there too. So, regulation, we got to talk about it.
We're going to talk about regulation, but like, let me ask you something very specific then. So from the performance side, on my side of things, you have a lot of people that do take pre-workout and like. You can say something like a C4 as an example, no explode, whatever. Mm-hmm. I've always done coffee. Is there a reason why, like from your side, that a C4 might have more benefits? Or is it comparable to a cup of coffee?
The reason
is it just good marketing?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. I think we know people who take C4, right?
Yeah.
And they take it, and so the benefit can be more caffeine. Now, I'm going to say the benefit can be more caffeine for someone, and that makes them feel like they can get their workout better. That's their benefit for them, maybe psychologically. But that can start to break down pretty quickly. So if you're over caffeinating, that's where you can get anxious. That's where you can start to get even high blood pressure too. That's where something like you can start to lose sleep as well. So say if someone's gonna be working out late at night, they can start to lose sleep from that aspect. So a lot of these other kind of supplements, they end up having a lot of caffeine in them. The caffeine tends to come from something like green tea extract though. Like if you've ever had green tea that has caffeine in it too. So the green tea extracts, most of these supplement companies, that's their caffeine that they're using in there, but they keep it just under about 400 milligrams, which is going to be just under what's toxic to the liver. So what we want to make sure someone's not thinking, this happens all the time with supplements, is people think that more is better, right?
Yeah.
So they say, well, I just took C4 and I felt really good for that one workout. I'm going to take a little more because this workout's going to be hard. I have to be on today, right?
Yeah.
And that's where we start to see a lot of detrimental effects. That's where liver starts to break down, like your hydroxycut. That's what attacked the liver, right? That kind of that hurts, that harms the liver. So something like that green tea extract that's at these high concentrations do that. Oh man, pre-workout, man.
It makes a lot of sense.
Time.
Look, it's a hot topic, man.
Yeah, I know.
People take it, and this is the problem that I have. I mean, if you think about any industry, really, it gets blown up with marketing, and I think when you talk about performance, even too specifically, you take, I think, a benefit of something like a magnesium or a pre-workout, and you might take one thing that gets highlighted of here's the benefit, better sleep, better recovery, and they just they buff it up so much with marketing of here's our brand and here's our approach with it, but it's you're fooling people. I've always believed, all right, we'll have a cup of coffee. Well, that's not exciting. Right?
It's not, yeah.
It's not some sick brand of we're going to do these fitness expos around coffee, right? And then, so you're not making a lot of money off of that. There's already a coffee industry. So the fitness industry needs to make its own little piece of the pie.
Yeah.
So it's a money grab, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And the same with something like a magnesium, where I'm you can take a magnesium supplement, which is fine. Maybe there are some benefits to taking a magnesium supplement, right?
I think we can also stop there and say that something like magnesium, it might not be unsafe, but just might not be as necessary, right? So it's not just a waste of money that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can take it.
But so even if you do, right, there's the unbranded, just like how in the pharmacy industry you have branded and generic, right? You can go to Whole Foods and get a magnesium supplement.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Get melatonin if you need to sleep a little bit better, just a little bit, right? Get the generic, if you will, version versus the hyped up fitness industry branded one that's $80 for a bottle versus the Whole Foods that's $6 for maybe more.
That's crazy.
You know what I'm saying? So you're just labeling it with marketing, and it's the consumer has to educate themselves on what they are actually receiving. What is your real goal here? If I can accomplish feeling jazzed up for a workout with a simple cup of coffee or a couple shots of espresso, well then great.
Yeah. And I think you see this too in a lot of people that they're like, I'm trying to live a really clean lifestyle. They're doing this, they're eating just chicken breasts and broccoli, but then they're pumping themselves up with these supplements too. And in my mind, how I view that, I'm that's not clean, right? That ends up being something where you're just supplementing. That's not helping you out. Where you want to hear something really not sexy, you want magnesium, go eat some Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts. You know how unsexy that is. So when someone says oh, here's this, it's so difficult to make sure that you're selling people on this nutrition. Everyone kind of wants that, but it's just that sexy factor is not there.
Dude, let that food be that medicine. I think it's as basic as that. There's everything that you need in it. You can make adjustments on it. I think it takes some conscious. You got to look at it, you got to analyze it, you got to trial and error a little bit. I think it's a longer road, but I think but there's long-term benefits to it. I wish people would look at, all right, maybe there's short-term benefit to be gained, but I'm how are you going to feel 3 hours later and 3 days later if I keep doing this stuff? It's very easy in the short term to be I'm hyped up in this moment.
Yeah.
Right? But what is happening to you later? Are you setting yourself up for success later? I want to be in this shit for decades, right? So I'm always thinking about how my food's going to set me up so that I can stay fit and healthy for the next 70 years.
Sure.
Not so that I could be at the height of my game for 5.
Yeah. You can burn yourself out that way.
Absolutely, you can.
That's where a lot of injuries come from, right? You end up taking enough C4, you can probably get through a pretty hard-ass workout, right?
Sure.
But you can also pull something, you can tear something, right? Because you think that you can now, you're Superman. And that ends up being an issue.
Freaking crazy there. Yeah.
So you don't listen to your body.
What would you recommend? So if you're doing coffee as a pre-workout, how far in advance or before the workout would you recommend having that coffee?
If you look at like more white papers, they'll say kind of around like an hour before.
An hour before.
Right. Personally, just again, everyone's going to react to caffeine differently. Caffeine has just a half-life that is going to be different in almost everybody's body. So that 250 milligrams is going to be different for you versus me. But like I know that if I end up taking some coffee an hour before, I don't feel like it hits me as good as if I take it like 20 minutes before.
Yeah, I agree. I feel that.
Yeah, it's got to be close to the bathroom. That's all.
Which I mean, a lot of us start our mornings that way. So, so I'm curious from your side of things, the positives of supplements, things that you like generally with clients, or what you see as in general some of the maybe the better supplements or things that you're like, this makes sense, I like this.
Yeah, no, this is good. I can go off on a little bit, so feel free to kind of take control of this. But the idea, like I just mentioned in terms of like performance, I have those like 3 C's again. We talked about caffeine, creatine, and also carb, right? So just quickly on those, like those are going to be safe. Like creatine is one of the most heavily tested supplements out there. How it works is it can just improve strength, improve endurance. Not improve endurance. It can improve strength and stamina, but it's not going to improve endurance. Okay. But something like that you can get that from regular just protein foods. But the idea is to take exogenous creatine in, and that exogenous creatine can help make sure that you can say, let's break this down to maybe being able to lift more in like each set. Does that make sense?
Very interesting, yes.
Okay, so creatine is associated with like a higher amount of lean body mass, lower body fat, but that's usually because it is so efficient at helping you kind of work out during a more resistance-based workout.
Now, you mentioned that you can get creatine from some of your foods.
For sure.
Like what?
Any kind. You name a protein, you name an animal protein, you can get it from there. Okay. So when someone is, say, if I have a dude that's eating like 200 grams of protein, they might not benefit from creatine, exogenous creatine, like a powder creatine, as much as maybe someone who is more plant-based, because a lot of plant-based foods aren't going to have as much creatine. Okay. So that's where we can kind of.
So is that an example of like if you are plant-based, you would divert to taking a creatine supplement?
You could benefit from it for sure.
Okay.
It does not mean by any means that you can't be a good athlete without it. Right?
I appreciate
We want to make sure that we know that. Because a lot of times too, right, we didn't mention this, is that people will say that a supplement is, or that the product of what they are, say like a muscular, toned kind of person, right, defined kind of person, that they're like, well, it's a supplement. But a lot of times I'm like, I think it's just a product of how hard you just busted your ass and for how long you did and how consistent you've been. And so that is something I'm like, I don't think it's your supplement, dude. I think it's honestly like, you did a good job. Like,
You're working hard.
It happens so much. So even like creatine, like it can benefit your workout, but it's definitely not necessary. So it's good too. But like carb, just to touch on that again, like carb is going to be something where not only should you just like have it within your diet, but you want to make sure that like after like a 60-minute heavier breathing, sweating kind of workout, that you're taking something like it can be like a sports drink. Like I was talking earlier today about taking some kind of like sports drink after like that 60-minute mark during like even like a class that might go 90 minutes, right? So that 60-minute mark, you want to take water up until then. Your body should be able to get through that time. It has enough stored energy, and then you take some sort of carbohydrate on top of it. So those are like 3 safe ones. I'd say like someone could probably start today just with those, right?
That's pretty cool. I mean, a lot of that is still even like pretty natural. Right.
It definitely is.
Which I mean I like. I mean it kind of reinforces the message. Are there certain this is one of the questions, would like any supplements that are specific for women that you would recommend?
Specific.
Is that even a thing, or is that basically what she's asking, or is that BS?
Well, no, I wouldn't say it's BS. I mean, there are certain things that are really interesting, and we won't go too deep into this, but like even around like a woman's cycle, like around like the luteal phase, like just before the cycle actually kicks in, they might have a higher amount of progesterone, so they're going to need to make sure that they're and a higher amount of progesterone, lower amount of estrogen could be relating to muscle breakdown, so higher protein needs. So if we're going with a supplement like whey protein or a plant-based protein, be beneficial to think like just before the cycle starts in that luteal phase that you start to increase your protein intake. And that's again just to help with muscle breakdown.
That's really interesting. So that's not even, you're not even recommending like a different type of supplement. That's just more being aware of where you are with your body.
Hormones, yeah.
And then, all right, this is a phase that I need to ramp up something.
Oh, for sure, yeah. That's
right, to compensate for something. So what I'm hearing so far is that a lot of this is still food-based. Creatine's really the only thing, and then a protein shake if we're doing that.
Yep.
That we're talking about supplements. Is there anything vitamin mineral-wise that you recommend, or is that also kind of similar philosophy of like you should aim to grab that from your food?
No, it's a really good question. One, I would say that you want to make sure that like if I'm working with someone, and sometimes I'm at fault of not doing this right away, but I'll really recommend that someone does get they do get their blood work and bring it to me, because we'll check out things like ferritin levels for iron. We'll look at things like B12 and vitamin D. Those are all going to be things that we want to look at. So if your vitamin D is low, we can supplement with that. There's a lot of research around vitamin D, especially in like athletes in like Southern California and Texas. They're outside all the time, right? And they're still low in vitamin D. But that low vitamin D status could be associated with increased risk of injury.
Okay. Oh.
And so it's something like, you can certainly get some vitamin D. But yeah, you get it from the sun. You can get vitamin D from things like egg yolks and dairy and fish and all that kind of stuff too. But it's really hard to bring up vitamin D from food.
Okay.
So vitamin D3 specifically is what we're talking about, and usually you're going to want to take about like 1,000 IU, international units, per day, just to kind of bring it up a little bit.
Okay. That's good.
What else did I mention? I mentioned B12.
Yeah.
Right? Who needs B12, bud?
Vegans do.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
So, like, in my mind, I look at a vegan diet, not that I'm ever going to judge someone for it, but I look at it and say, man, if you need to supplement with something, I think that maybe it isn't the most natural way for a human to be eating, is how I think about it.
Very
right?
interesting.
But it's not that I'm ever going to tell someone, like, don't eat vegan. I'm just thinking, like, that's just my own, like, little personal opinion. But, like, you need to be taking B12. B12 is a vitamin that helps with metabolism and energy, and you just get it from animal proteins. So...
Okay.
Yeah, so you just supplement with it's fine. And I mentioned ferritin, which is basically kind of your iron status. And so that's why we want to make sure that someone's getting enough iron. If someone's eating a bunch of like tilapia to lose weight because they think it's low calorie, like talk about a crap fish or like fish that eats off the bottom of the ocean.
Yeah.
Tilapia. But you're not eating things like dark green vegetables. You're not eating things like your animal proteins. Those are going to be things that are going to provide iron for you.
Yeah.
But I also would never tell someone to start taking iron right away, because if their iron level happens to be high, but we're just saying, iron can help you, then it's possible that there could be like iron storage in their soft tissue that could be unhealthy for them.
Oh my God.
So,
okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Those are some. Does that make sense?
So it does a lot. I think that's super helpful. And guys, send in your questions if you do have questions about supplements, things that you might be taking. We're talking about supplements for those of you who just joined. So if you have any questions about things that you are taking, you're curious about performance-wise or just supplements in general, send them through. Mm-hmm. Do you have? So those are kind of your positives with the supplement side. Mm-hmm. Do you have, so I would love to talk, because I want to get into the industry a little bit.
Okay.
Right? Because I think that's going to be something for people, because I think people need to be armed with education when making decisions on really anything in general, but of course supplements, and like why that's the case. Yeah. But do you have certain things that you warn people about with supplements with your clients, of you're like, these are things that you need to stay away from that we haven't already kind of hit on?
Yeah, we're definitely going to look at some things that could possibly, like we just mentioned before, about things that can kind of be toxic to the liver, the lungs, the heart, all that kind of stuff. So it's not that it might be also like, because I think the industry question is going to talk, or the regulation question is going to answer this. But there's going to be things that maybe aren't as beneficial, and they can be unhealthy. We actually already talked about one that's kind of dangerous. We did talk about kind of like the fat burners and stuff like that.
Yeah, those are probably notorious for it.
Yeah, the ephedra, all that kind of stuff that you want to watch out for. But the ones that maybe, and this ends up being a triggering thing, The ones that maybe aren't dangerous, but maybe that are kind of unnecessary. One is going to be a big thing a lot of people take, and people get angry when I say this. But I say that BCAAs are just not necessary.
Dude.
They're really expensive and they taste like crap.
This was going to be one of my follow-up questions.
Good, yeah. But
so,
again, not unhealthy, it's not dangerous.
But it's just not necessary.
If you're getting enough protein, you get enough branched chain amino acid, right?
This is what I'm talking. Is this a marketing thing? Companies are great at being like, you need BCAAs.
Sure. Yeah.
So they're bumping it up.
But I want to be fair to people, because there is a lot of research that becomes really confusing. So there's a lot of like rat studies that'll show this or show that. There's a lot of studies that'll be like, hey, this population of people took a bunch of BCAAs, during a workout and they had more energy, or they took a bunch of BCAA after a workout and they have a higher amount of muscle mass and lower body fat. Well, the thing that maybe they're not looking at beyond that headline or beyond just that little abstract is that they were on a completely restrictive diet. They're going to lose body fat because they were at a calorie deficit and they weren't eating any protein.
Yeah.
And that's why the BCAA was beneficial for them, right?
And then the normal person's obviously not going to dive into that level of detail of researching why that was the case. They're just going to be told.
Yeah, man.
That's the thing that I learned about the healthcare industry too, is that when you're approving even a drug, like you have to, there are white papers and there's a lot of clinical data backing it up, but then you also have to look at who's funding the study. Right? Are they vested in the success and the launch of this drug?
Yeah.
So of course you can set up a test to give you the results that you want.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can isolate certain things.
Yeah.
It's like until you have like a completely uninterested third party that is so unbiased looking at it. But like again, you're getting these things that are sent out into articles, white papers, etc.
Yeah.
A normal person's not going to look into that type of thing. So it's kind of a dangerous game.
It is a dangerous game. It's a little bit scary too.
Yeah.
Okay, so I was just going to touch on one other thing, which is just going to be collagen, not in the dangerous aspect of things, just the unnecessary thing. Excuse me. If you aren't getting enough protein, you probably are going to be getting enough collagen. As long as you're taking vitamin C with it, you're eating some foods that have fiber in it, right? Your vegetables, your fruits, all that kind of stuff is going to help. You're going to produce enough collagen, so don't let collagen be too much of a supplement you're buying into too much. It probably is not going to do any harm for you, but it's just going to be something that you don't want to oversell yourself or let someone oversell you. That's good. This is going long. It's a good topic, right?
It is a great topic.
But where do you go if you want a safe supplement? If you want to know if it's safe, if you want to know if there's banned items in it?
Yeah, so I know I've heard of this before. I forget the website. I know you sent it to me today.
Yeah, you guys can check this out, and then some of the industry stuff. But nsfsport.com, nsfsport.com. NSF is a third-party testing company that is, they test many things, like environmental products, they test many things. But the idea here is that they're testing sports supplements. They test any banned substances for the NFL, for the NHL, a bunch of other kind of organizations. But you can test it for things like purity and adulteration. The other one is going to be informed choice. So informed-choice.org, I believe it was what it is. But you can go on those websites and just kind of like type them in and test for if your supplement is there, any question you have. So those are two sources you look at for safe supplements.
Okay.
All right? Yeah.
That's awesome.
You mentioned something really interesting though, and I know we're trying to get into this more of the industry kind of stuff. You were mentioning something about like the deregulation stuff, or let me know about what is it you were telling me about in the elevator?
About like the law that got passed.
Yeah. What was that?
So, all right. So it's called the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act of 1994.
Yep.
So here's why this is at all interesting to you guys. So there's a difference. So the FDA is the overseeing entity, right, for any drugs.
Yeah.
Right. They're supposed to oversee and make sure that the efficacy is sound, it's safe to use, right? This act went through and it defines dietary supplements as a category of food.
Yeah.
Which puts them under different regulations than drugs. So that is very interesting to know.
Yeah.
So when you go to GNC, you have these pills and they can say subtle things at the bottom in small text of this is not guaranteed to provide certain results, like certain things like that disclaim, so it's kind of written off. They
Yeah.
also don't have to put down all their ingredients. They don't have to say like this specifically is in there. They can literally say specially formulated ingredient, and
Yeah.
like that's enough.
Yeah. You know what they call it sometimes?
Super vague.
Is a proprietary blend.
A proprietary blend.
That's how they hide it in there sometimes. Yeah.
It's fancy. So dietary supplements is so important. Dietary supplements are considered safe until proven unsafe.
Basically,
so hydroxycut,
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
Like it's on the market, and then it messes some people up,
Yeah.
and then it's like now FDA gets involved, and
It's like, all right, now people have died.
Cool.
Yeah, let's figure
Thanks
this out.
for
Yeah.
the heads up.
Yeah, the FDA is basically like they'll break things down. I think hydroxycut might be in the sense of like a non what's it called? A non prescribed medication, basically, right? Basically saying that like what's going to be in there is just under what would actually be.
Oh yeah, right, yeah.
What is that? I'm just forgetting the word right now. But it's basically saying that like this is a medication that's usually prescribed by a doctor, but you know what? You have lower levels of it, so we can allow it to be over the counter.
Right, exactly right.
That's kind of
yes.
what hydroxycut was,
Yeah.
right? So the FDA does ask in those scenarios. They do ask, just show us a study, some studies that maybe it can be safe. And a lot of them need they need to be human trials, but they might not be all kind of like buttoned up all nice, right?
Yeah.
And so that's the biggest issue. With supplements, it's basically, I think I said this to you too, is like basically like Charles in Indiana can be just taking like a chalk powder and putting it into bottles.
So that's real.
Yeah,
That's
it's a
literally
thing.
real. So
Yeah.
like, and I forget the documentary, but this is the story that we were talking about.
Yeah.
So like, all right,
Always have
so
good stories.
so it was specifically in the state of Utah. This is 100% real. This is 100% real.
Yeah.
There was a documentary, it was on Netflix, I kind of forget which one it was, but
Uh-huh.
they basically went to, Utah has vested interest in the supplement industry because
How much money is in there?
so the industry was worth $924 million in 1992. And in fast forward 20 years, Utah's dietary supplement industry is now worth in excess of $7 billion.
It's just one state.
Why
does one
Utah.
state have? Why are they so invested in supplements in Utah?
I honestly
Is there
don't
anyone
know.
from Utah that knows this answer? Why is Utah so into these supplements? I mean, I know it's very
crazy.
Yeah, I don't understand it. It's interesting though.
So because of the fact that you have this law that got passed, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, right, which was helped pushed through by the congressman of Utah.
Oh, you meant yeah.
Right, so
Yeah.
they had vested interest because they went to this home in this documentary where you had these people. It was literally somebody's home stuffing pills. There was a dietary weight loss
That's
pill,
crazy.
and they were stuffing it with cornstarch. So you're stuffing cornstarch, and they put a little proprietary blend of maybe a speck of caffeine.
Yeah.
And then they sell these pills that are worth like 10 cents, and they're selling a whole bottle of 60 for like 80 to $100.
It's crazy. I mean, if
So
you
there's
wanna-
no.
that's just because like they might have some caffeine in it, but what about the banned substances that no one knows about, or like where a college athlete might take something and then all of a sudden they're like, someone put steroids in there because they're like, hey, I took some of that biotin, it made me feel really good, right? And now they're banned because it had some steroid in there.
That's
right?
I mean it's a little nutty. Yeah.
That's some scary.
So
stuff.
it's something to be aware of. I
Yeah.
think like that's why I stray away from supplements for the most part. You know, I think that there's good use for certain ones, but I really, at the end of the day, I just can't. It's very simplistic to me. I feel like, and we've touched on this, like if you can get it from a natural way, why the hell wouldn't you want to do that? Like the fitness industry is one that's very interesting to me.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of ways to make money in it. I think if it's done properly, the fitness industry you should be earning money from good coaching. You should be earning it from like a great workout, obviously, a good gym concept, or a good trainer.
Yeah.
And you should be having good coaching from someone like yourself, like dietitian, that's helping you with education of proper ways to eat real food, right? And you're going to farmers markets for real food.
Yeah.
Like that's how it should really be done.
Yeah.
But because that's the case, you go to the fitness industry and people are like, I need to make more money though. So I think that they create problems and then they solve it by saying, here's some crazy benefit, and it happens every so often, all the time, there's always like something that gets recycled back into the fitness industry.
Yeah.
Of like, you know, magnesium does this, and like we haven't talked about it for 20 years, and then somebody comes in and
All
goes,
the time.
magnesium promotes better sleep and recovery,
Yeah.
and then like we bump the shit out of it with marketing
Yeah.
and good branding,
Celebrities or
celebrity endorsements.
You know what gets me too? You end up seeing a lot of people that maybe have spent a lot of their life working out really hard, right? Doing a lot of what they should be doing in life, right? And maybe they just say, you know what? For 3 months, I'm going to take this supplement because someone talked them into it, and then all of a sudden, their whole story becomes all about this one supplement. We see that so many times too. That's what happens a lot of times with like the ketogenic diet or intermittent fasting. Someone's like, oh yeah, intermittent fast, I get there. But no one saw the 20 years before that where they busted their fucking ass.
Dude.
Sorry for swearing, but like I see it so often where people end up getting so wrapped up in maybe like that short acute period of time that they're like, oh well that's why that person is that way, right? So
people got to be better. Like, we need to start really questioning things like endorsements as well. Like we live in a period of obviously being on Instagram, right? Where you have so many influencers, and being in that space.
Yeah.
Like, I get asked by brands to like, can you put my product up on your page and do XYZ? And so I see the other side, and I'm like, I've never used your brand ever. Like, I don't buy your stuff. I don't use your stuff. And yet they're looking, just because you have a certain like audience or appeal, that they're like, I'm gonna send you this and just post it up. And like, I refuse to do that. But you need to understand. You need to understand that there are a wide amount of people that are doing that because it's their income, right? So they're promoting not great things, but because they're getting paid, they are vested in their livelihood to do so. And so it's very manipulative, and like, you have to really got to question almost everything with this type of stuff, because it's easy to hype up and you know, these pre-workouts and post-workouts and all these things. They do fitness expos, and they get panel conversations, and they get a celebrity endorsement, and become some cool events. Right? So it looks really cool for people that aren't even at that event, that like, oh man, maybe I should be taking this. How cool is that? That guy takes that. But at the end of the day, I know way too many people that they do it in an all natural way, and they're some of the best athletes, the most healthy people. To where those things are just flat out unnecessary.
It's scary. Let me ask you then, and just throw it back on your side. I think we're running a little bit out of time, but I want to ask this question to you. I think it's a good question to ask in a lot of scenarios, not just this one, but how would you fix that? If you feel like there's a lot of people that are benefiting in terms of, say, body composition, in terms of like their performance, just by being more like a whole food based athlete, a natural athlete, and they're being approached by all these companies. And we know that people are taking the bait, and they're saying, well, yeah, you're going to pay me enough money, I'm going to do it, I have to feed my kid maybe.
Yeah,
right?
of course,
It's a tough question, it's a loaded question, but how would you fix that?
Dude, it's just it's a harder route to take. I just think it's a more noble route to take. So I would say, like, you need to be authentic and true, and remember why we're in this industry to begin with. Like, I'm here because I want to help people in a real way. So the second that I do something and put out a message, like if I were to just grab onto a brand or a supplement and say, like, I'm sponsored by X nutrition brand, and now I'm pushing their shit. You have to know that's bullshit. How can you not know that's bullshit? I'm getting paid to tell you that this shit is great. And maybe I tried it and I'm like, oh, that's fucking fantastic. But like, I don't want to ever do that. Like, I want to find my income through actual value creation of like, we worked hard in the gym. We did a good program today. We're doing this for not just 1 month. We're doing this for several months, years, right? And we're talking to someone like yourself of here's how to actually tackle my day. Because one of the things that you and I agree on is that if we're doing great coaching, then our clients will eventually not need us.
I love that.
Right? And that's the truth. Like, I should be educating you so much that you can go do these things on your own, that you can be flexible enough to know, like, here's a good here's a good way for me to implement like new workouts and create a new fitness routine on my own. Here's a good way, all right, I know enough about nutrition now, I can start to be pliable and
I know my own body, how it's going to affect me. Yeah, exactly.
Right? So to like these influencers and whoever these people are that are just doing this, I think it's kind of, this is something I'm obviously very passionate about. It's kind of like a call to action of let's take a more noble approach in this industry.
Yeah.
And not focus on the bullshit, but remember that like we're actually maybe should be part of the continuum of healthcare.
Yeah.
And should be carrying that type of responsibility, right? Not just how can I make, you know, a quick dollar, a quick buck, and how can I be cooler to get a badass sponsorship.
I think it really devalues what, you know, people do. I know it devalues what I do, it devalues what you do. And that makes it really hard.
It takes away from it. It does. It takes away from the people that are doing real work.
Yeah.
When you have like these big brands and big dollars behind certain people that are flashy.
Yeah.
Right? You're taking away from like some of the most incredible coaches and trainers that I know are not sponsored. Like even some of our clients and athletes at Tone House, I think, are better equipped to educate people than these influencers. Like our athletes could wipe the floor with them, some of these people, and I'm just like, homeboy over here is like getting all these like, you know, nutrition sponsorships, and I'm like, dude, I know so many people that are like, this guy's a doctor, this guy's a lawyer, like this dude's 55 and a lawyer, and he would kick your butt.
It's the truth, man.
You know what I'm saying? He's just living a nice life and being quiet about it, and like it's like this dude could coach people himself.
I feel like people just don't. I feel like some of those people just don't have enough time to take what is necessary to like push that sponsorship. I don't know. And so I'm like, man, to keep sponsoring, we gotta like, post on Instagram all the time. It's just so much stuff to do.
It's a lot.
But this is a hot topic. It's a sexy topic, as I said before. I want to make sure that we're not keeping you guys too long, but I think this maybe can roll into a two-parter or something at some point.
Oh, I could talk about this stuff all day.
I mean, I think I also end up seeing that a lot of our language becomes a lot more aggressive as we are getting more worked up with this industry here. So we definitely have to kind of bring it back. But I mean, there's certain things that I'd love to touch on in terms of like other beneficial type of supplements, whether it's going to be like beetroot extract, beetroot powders, whether, you know, just things like omega-3s, like all that kind of stuff. There's benefits to them. So I want to make sure that we don't discount the things that are safe and that can be helpful. So
big time.
Always make sure that we kind of come back to that.
We have a lot to talk about. Even that question was literally a breakdown of the difference between biological hunger and psychological hunger, which is an amazing topic. One that I know that you are like incredibly well versed on. I just think that that's probably one that needs its own.
Biological, psychological?
Yeah, that needs to be probably its own talk.
Yeah,
there's a lot to
that. Yeah. And I think that's a good thing too. If you guys have anything specific that I think that, you know, what we try and do, we want to help clear the weeds for you. I think this is definitely a topic where there's a lot of stuff to get out of. This is muddy. There's a lot of weeds here. There's a lot of stuff on the internet that can get us lost in there. So what we want to do is be able to clear those weeds. We probably can't do this right now in this one, like what we were trying to keep maybe closer to 40 minutes. We're now closer to 60 minutes, but we'd love to bring this again, maybe to like another topic, maybe bring some other questions that people have. So we'll hit on that. But if there's any other topics that you guys truly feel that you need answers on, that you want us to talk about, see what our opinions are as well, right? We can marry that science and opinion and make sure that we know what can be safe and helpful for you.
For sure.
We want to hear from you. So whether it's emailing us, whether it's seeing us in person, whether it's going to be just hitting us up on Instagram or Facebook, please let us know, because we honestly just want to help. We want to be a magnet for health and nutrition and fitness.
Yeah.
So let us be that. So let us help you. Help us help you. Is that how it's said?
Let me help you. I think it's good, man. Like, send the questions, and they can be very. I think the value here is going to be in like those small, detailed, everyday kind of situations. Because like overview questions are great, where we're like, you know, talking on a topic like we did today of like the supplement industry and supplements.
Yeah.
But like I loved even when we were chatting about like how do we deal at a barbecue with the social pressures, right? Like it can be things like that, things that you guys are struggling with in an everyday situation, right? You're at your office and how do I eat healthy, or right, like I'm working out 6 days a week and not seeing results. Like, what do I need to do? Like, there's tons of stuff that we could cover. So whatever you're struggling with, you are just curious about, send it over and we'll do our best to tackle it.
Yeah, we'd love to. So just let us know. And yeah.
Dope.
Anything else?
That's it, buddy.
All right, that's all I got. All right. You want to cheers on the way out?
We're signing off. I drank. Oh, no, I got a little bit
What's
more.
wrong with me?
Cheers, guys. Thanks for joining us
Okay,
today.
guys. Have a good night. Always miss that button.